So I don't usually do these talking videos, but this time I thought this was something really important. So I figured I'll just take a few minutes and hopefully share a few stories, just talk a little bit about somebody who meant so much to me and so much to so many other people. Um, so yeah, Eddie Van Halen, the chosen one, the true chosen one, the icon, the king, and really the guy that um, created the world that I live in every single day. It's exactly 1 year since we lost Eddie on that October 6th day in 2020. Now it's exactly a year later, and I can tell you, to me, it still feels very fresh, as if it just happened yesterday, basically. And I'm still very, very sad. Just a world without Eddie Van Halen is just not the same. Um, but yeah, this is a video I decided to do just to show a little bit of appreciation and just thank you to somebody that just has done so much for people like me, and just guitar kids like me who love all the great riffs and tapping and harmonics and tone and everything. Most of it was just Eddie Van Halen's creations that he left for all of us. When you think about it, that first Van Halen record came out in 1978, which is now 43 years ago. And people are still trying really hard to dial in that tone that Eddie had on that first album. And I still haven't really heard anybody else dial it in quite the same way. So even with all the technology we have nowadays, 43 years later, and this is still that sought out tone that everybody wants and everyone's trying to get. So that says something, and that didn't really exist before him. So this was just incredible what he created. And when you think about 1978, like the 70s did not sound like this. This was really almost the official beginning of the 80s, in my opinion. Just that sound, that tone, that attitude, the type of playing that everyone tried to imitate later on. So this was, when you listen to Eruption, Ain't Talking About Love, Atomic Punk, I'm the One, is just mind-blowing the way that it sounds, and just the playing and everything. It's just all the stars lined up. It was perfect. And everything else that followed was pretty much just as amazing. So yeah, Eddie was really the chosen one, and just without Eddie Van Halen, if you think about it, all the guitars that, if you walk into a music store nowadays and you see all these guitars and all these metal guitars with the floating bridges and all the cool shapes and colors and all of those things, if it weren't for Eddie Van Halen, none of those things would look the same. So I know that for me, all the guitar players that I grew up listening to, they were all influenced by Eddie Van Halen. And I was influenced by Eddie Van Halen very much so, and still am to this day. And if there's one guy that I was still really looking up to, it would be Eddie Van Halen, just as a musician, as a guitar player, as somebody who was such an innovator. This is someone who's a real, true inspiration. And even beyond that, just to see the type of person that he was. I never actually got to meet him. It was, for me, this was a bucket list thing, meeting Eddie Van Halen and just trying to say thank you for everything that he's done for all of us. So that didn't happen, not for the lack of trying, I can tell you that, but it just, I don't know, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I got to see Van Halen a bunch of times. I got to see the band play, which was incredible every single time. But just seeing interviews with him and seeing so many just videos of him interacting with other people, and you just see how nice of a person he really was, and just how grounded he was with all his success and all the fame and all the talent and all the money and everything that he had. You see how he was just another rocker, another musician, and how nicely he treated everyone. So to me, that was something, just seeing those videos and knowing just how incredibly talented he was, and for him to still be such a real, genuine person. This is one of the most inspiring things you can take from him. Yeah, so one story that I can share. Last year, the HM Strat had made a comeback after all these years, which was a really exciting thing for me and for a lot of people. And I can tell you the story of how that came about. And this was something that, some years ago, I really wanted to meet Eddie Van Halen, and I just knew, I knew that sometimes he would show up at those Fender parties the day before the NAMM show. And I told my friend Nate, this is, it's kind of the rumor that Eddie Van Halen shows up to those things. And told him, let's fly out to NAMM a day before, a day early, and just see if we can get in. And we did that. We flew out to NAMM the day, one day early, and we tried to get into that Fender party that's a private party the night before the NAMM show, and we didn't really know anybody there, and we didn't have passes or anything like that, so we're just sitting outside. And turns out Eddie wasn't even there that year, but we ended up seeing somebody coming out of that party, and we just started a conversation with this guy, and because he was a cool rocker, and he was a nice, friendly guy. And this guy is John Cruz, who's been one of the top master builders for Fender for over 30 years. So we were talking, and we started talking about the HM Strat guitar, and John Cruz said that back in the day he had an HM Strat, and he really loved that guitar, and we all missed it. We all missed those guitars. And he was even saying how he loved the guitar, and he sold it, and then he regretted it, and he wished that he never sold it. And then that was a few years ago, and a couple of years later we ran into him again, and somehow we didn't even remember who he was, and then conversation came up again about the HM Strat, and we realized that we already talked about it before. And then John Cruz decided to build a couple of custom shop HM Strats, and we were in communication with him a bunch during that process. I sent in one of my HM Strats to the Fender custom shop for him to work with it, measure it, do whatever he needed to do in order to make a couple of custom shop ones. And from that point on, somebody at Fender took notice of that, and needless to say, the guitar made a comeback. So that's really how the whole thing started. It all goes back to trying to meet Eddie Van Halen. So somehow everything in this style of music, everything about gear and guitar, everything just goes back to Eddie Van Halen at the end of the day. So that was really how the HM Strat made the comeback. And guitar magazines are not going to tell you this story, and Fender is not going to tell you this story, and none of these bloggers that posted about the HM Strat to try and go viral with it or get content with it, they're not going to tell you how it came about. But I can tell you this is exactly how the HM Strat made the comeback. And everything always goes back to Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, so I just have to say, the reason why I'm doing this video now, a year later, is because I was watching a few of the things that people posted after Eddie passed, and honestly, I just find it so not genuine that people are just trying to just go after content so much, being so obsessed with getting any kind of content, any kind of an excuse to just post something, and just to ride something like that just because that's what was happening at the time, and to go and do all these reaction videos and all the things that are going on nowadays, and just all the reviews, and especially by people who weren't even really fans in the first place, and even the people who were fans, just to take advantage of something like that, I thought was really uncool. So I decided to just do the tributes on stage as best as I could, trying to stay true to the music as much as possible. And now, a year later, just making this video just to basically say thank you, and to just share a few thoughts about Eddie and what he meant to me. Yeah, so there's just so much more stuff you can say about Eddie Van Halen, and it'll take hours and hours to talk about it. And sometimes you do spend hours and hours with friends talking about Eddie Van Halen and what he meant to the world, and what he means from here on out. Everything that he created, everything that we've copied and ripped off and got inspired by. So all I can say is just my deepest condolences to the Van Halen family, and to everyone who is truly sad for what happened, for losing the great one. So, rest in peace.